What's going on, YouTube? My name's Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of Acroomi, and I'm coming back to you again today with another 5-minute video. So today's video, what we're going to be talking about are how do the ROIs or return on investments for wholesale and private label on Amazon compare. So really quickly, for those of you that don't know, my name is Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of Acroomi, and Acroomi is the leading business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers like you. So the reason I'm bringing up this topic and discussing it is just yesterday afternoon, I was on a phone call with someone who manages a large hedge fund and has invested about $500 million in the guys that are out there acquiring Amazon sellers. So you've probably heard about Thrasio, Elevate Brands, SellerX, all of these big companies that are out there buying Amazon sellers and Amazon brands. Well, I was speaking yesterday with the guys who basically have given each of them, or not those exact brands, but have given a bunch of different aggregators like that hundreds of millions of dollars. And we got into discussing the Acroomi model and how we don't just invest in private label sellers like these aggregators who are mostly only buying private label sellers, but at Acroomi, about half of our portfolio is what's called wholesale sellers. So private label sellers, those are the guys who are manufacturing their own product, usually over in China, shipping it to the US, building a brand, doing marketing, selling their stuff on Amazon. Wholesale sellers are the guys who are buying their product, usually name brand products, in bulk from mostly suppliers that are based in the US, and then they're just sending them to Amazon FBA and selling them on Amazon FBA. Now, because the investors we were talking to, most of the stuff they've invested in are really only looking at private label. When we told them that we're also do wholesale, they were curious and they asked, well, how do the ROIs compare between private label, which is what they have a lot of experience with, and wholesale, which is something that we also have a lot of experience with? And the answer was really kind of surprising to them, but in our experience in investing in tons of Amazon sellers of both private label brands of all different sizes and wholesale sellers of all different sizes, is that the ROI on an annualized basis for each business model actually ends up being pretty much the same. And the big reason for that is time. So a lot of times, if you watch any of these YouTube videos, you know that we always talk about time and how ROI is a factor of time. So if you think about it, private label sellers, they're usually buying, let's say, 6 months worth of inventory, and it's gonna take them 1 to 3 months to get the product manufactured and shipped over to the US from China usually, and checked in through customs, then eventually to Amazon FBA. So they're looking at usually laying out money and probably 6 to 12 months before they have all of that money come back to them. And all the turn times are different, and if you do a good job handling your supply chain, you can really shrink that down. But let's just say 6 to 12 months. Now, most private label sellers, after their marketing expenses, after their production, after their shipping, after their FBA fees, let's say they're making about 100% per sale. So to keep it simple, they manufacture and ship it to the US, it costs them $10, then their FBA fees are $5, they sell it for $25, so that means they profited $10 on the $10 they laid out to have it manufactured and imported. So they made 100% ROI, great. Wholesale sellers, on the other hand, are buying from suppliers in the US, so they don't have that big lag time in shipping. A lot of wholesale sellers will buy something from a supplier in the US, have it shipped to Amazon FBA, usually only takes a few weeks, and they're selling. So that's gonna be the first thing. They don't have to get it manufactured, they don't have to worry about customs or shipping from China. Then, because of that, most wholesale sellers are also buying smaller quantities. So they're usually buying, I'd say 60 to 90 days worth of inventory instead of 6 months to a year's worth of inventory. And that's because they have these shorter lead times and they can put little amounts of money out, get the product in, sell it, and repeat and repeat. So while a private label seller, like we discussed, might be making 100% ROI on the product they're selling, a wholesale seller might be making 10% on the product they're selling, right? They might be selling Ninja blenders that they're buying for $20, Amazon fees are $10, and they're selling it for $35. So they make, let's say, a $5 profit on their $20 investment, or 25%. So while the private label seller is making 100% on their product, the wholesale seller might be making 25% on their product. So you might be saying, well, Ben, if that's the case, don't private label sellers make a lot more money? They make 100% and wholesale makes 20%, and it all comes back to time. So like we discussed, a private label seller might lay out money and basically take 6 months to sell out of their inventory. And yeah, after those 6 months, they made 100%, which is great. And then they reinvest the money and they can basically do it again. And without taking into account compounding returns, they make 200% a year, which is really good. If you think about it from the perspective of a wholesale seller, let's say that they're making that 25%, but they're only buying a month and a half worth of inventory. So every month and a half, they're making 25% on their money. So if every month and a half they make 25% on their money and they keep rolling it over, basically they sell their inventory, they buy more, send it into Amazon, and keep repeating, they end up making the same 200% in a year. So that's really it. Moral of the story, both models are good. Both models actually make similar ROI despite what people think. That's been our experience across all different sizes of Amazon seller and all different skill sets. You know, a really good private label seller might make a couple hundred or even 1,000% a year on their money, and the same can be said for really good wholesale sellers. And the average ones of both are making similar returns annualized as well. So that's our experience, and I think this is a question that people think, especially if you're starting out, you know, which is a better model to go with. So really quickly on that, private label, I think, has a lot more upside, right? That's why people do private label. They're not just doing it to get a return on their money. They're also doing it to build a brand that they can eventually sell for millions of dollars to someone like the guys we were talking to the other day. While wholesale, on the other hand, is a lot lower risk in my opinion. You have to lay out less money, your money's not tied up as long, and you keep turning it over. So depending on what you're interested in, those are kind of the two different models and how I think they compare. But at the end of the day, if you're just looking to make a return on your money, the returns are gonna be pretty similar for both models. So hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, hit a like. Let me know what you think. What's better, wholesale or private label? Let me know in the comments. And if you wanna see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to make a video every week, and if you subscribe and like this video, it'll encourage me to keep going and make more. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next video.